Welcome to
Hare Krishna, everyone. So today is Mokshada Ekadashi. It's the day that the Bhagavad Gita was distributed. And so we're gonna, time honored tradition, we're gonna read the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll start with a little invocation from the introduction, just a couple of mantras of calling on previous teachers, and Lord Chaitanya and his associates, and ultimately Radhan Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra. And we'll just read through the whole Bhagavad Gita. So we're thinking, you can do it in all Sanskrit, you can do it all English, you can mix it up. I'm thinking, English, because people can then understand the verses. It's a little slower in English. Sanskrit's a little more natural flow to it. If you guys want, at some point, I can chant a chapter in Sanskrit so we can see what that feels like. That's kind of a nice experience too.
maybe whenever you read Sanskrit, and we'll all read English.
Yeah. And I think the best way is that we all just kind of take turns, and we can read along with the reader, but one person will lead the reading, and that way you can kind of like catch your breath. You can read along, you can follow in your book or online, and use the bathroom if you have to. And and we'll take like a few seconds between chapters. But you kind of have to go at like a pretty steady clip to get through it in 2.5 hours. So it's not like there's going to be, after every chapter, like reflections. There's a lot. My experience is if you're paying attention, you'll have a lot drop in for you, because you're actually like in a big time way, just like Arjuna, you're like sitting there and receiving Krishna and Arjuna actually for a good chunk of time. But be ready to feel things, be ready to have things drop in. And are you all ready?
Can I say something? Just to clarify, we're gonna have one person read an entire chapter, and then we're gonna switch and have the next person read an entire chapter. So we're not switching verses in a chapter.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And then secondly, if there's a verse or something that really strikes you, write it in your phone. I just did that because I don't have my notebook, or in your notebook, and just jot down the chapter and verse number. I did that last year when we read it. I had like my big takeaway verses, and I went back and read those and the purports and stuff throughout the next week.
Good idea.
Yes. Smart idea. Thanks. All right. Any questions from our home crews?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Time is it?
It's 6:08.
Time to read Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So this is from the introduction. This is on page 1 of the book introduction. First mantra is to the spiritual master. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakritam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The translation is, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. And I'll just go to Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura. And everybody together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just think 5,000 plus years ago, Arjuna had this difficult task and his heart was breaking, and he received Bhagavad Gita, and now we're all going to do that too. May Krishna help us to have attentive ears and hearts. Hare Krishna. Who wants to read chapter 1? About 40 verses.
I will. The introduction? We're not doing the introduction?
No, just the verses.
So just chapter 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Verse 1. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Draupadi. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuandana, Vrata, and Draupadi. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chikatana, Kasharaja, Perujit, Kunti Byoja, and Sabya. There are the mighty Yudhaman Manu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. There are personalities like you, but for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashvatthama, the Karna, and the son of Samadatta, called Bharishrava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sounds were tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell, called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell, called Pandra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Anta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sugosa and Mani Pushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Sikhandi, Drishtaduma, Bharata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Draupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others. O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here, who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. There Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow, Gandhaiva, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of the Kesha demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those from whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, and even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth, what pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? O Jandarna, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime of destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? With the destruction of the dynasty, the internal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Oh, Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down in the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Chapter 2. You're okay with me reading in Sanskrit? Okay. So, I guess like every 10 verses, I'll say what number it is in case you lose track. But you can follow along. It might be, hopefully, it's about the same speed reading as it is speaking. Chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. Sanjaya Uvacha, Pangtata Kripaya Vishram Ashram Purna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha Bhagavan Uvacha Kudastva Krishmalamidam Vishrame Samapastitam Nari Drushram Asvargyam Akirti Karam Arjuna Ledyam Mas Magama Partha Naita Tvaiva Padyate Shudram Krudeda Balyam Pakvotishta Parantata Arjuna Uvacha Katam Bhishmam Aham Sankhe Dronam Shamatu Sudana Shviptat Yotsyami Rajar Havari Sudana Gurun Hatva Himahan Pavan Shrayo Soktam Haikshama Piha Loke Atvarta Kamans to Guruni Haiva Punji Apogan Utira Pratiktan. Excuse me. Achaitad Vidma Katuranno Gariyo Yadva Yajayet Jayema Yadiba no Jayayutu. And Eva Hatva Najiva Shamas Devastita Pramuke Dhartarashtra Karpani Dosho Pahatasubhava Prichamitvam Karma Samuta Cheta Vitrayasyanishtitam Bruhitanne Shashtiham Shatimam Pam Prapannam Nahi Prashyami Man Patyat Uchoshanam Indriyanam Avatithuma Vasapatnam Vrittang Rajam Suranam Api Chati Patyam Sanjay Uvacha Evam Uktva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantataha Ayutsya iti Guru Vindam Uktva Pushnim Bapuvaha Tam Uvacha Rishi. This is verse 10. Tam Uvacha Rishikesha Prahasam Vipaparita Sena Upayor Mati Rishidantam Idam Vajaha. Is the speed okay?
Yeah.
11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Shochan Anvashochas Pam Pragnya Vadang Shipashase Gatasun Agatasun Nana Shochanti Panditaha Nativaham Jatina Sam Natvam Neme Chanatpa Nachaiva Nataprishyama Sarve Vayamataparam Dehinosmin Yatadi Kamaram Yavanam Jara Tadihan Draptapti Tiras Tatramukiti Matra Sparshas to Kaunteya Shiposhna Sukadukda Agamapayano Nityas Tang to Pictures Supporter Yamhina Gityanti Purusham Purusharshapa Samadukka Sukam Viram Somritvaya Kalpate Nastu Vidite Bhavu Na Bhavu Vidite Sataha Payod Apidrushlam Tas Panios Tatpadarshite Avinashi Tadviti Yena Sarvam Idam Titam Nasham Avyasya Nakaschit Kartam Arhati Antavant Medeha Nityasuka Sharina Anashino Pneyasya Dasma Gutyasva Partha Yainam Vitti Antaram Yaschainam Manyate Hatam Ubhautau Nabjanito Nayam Antina Hanyate 20. Najayate Mriti Vakadachin Nayam Putva Pavita Vanu Puyah Jonitya Shashto Yam Purano Na Hanyate Hanyamane Sharire.
21.
21. Vida Vinashanam Nityam Yainam Ajam Avyayam Katam Supurushat Partha Kankhatyati Antikam Vasangshijinan Yatha Vihaya Navani Grahnati Narokarani Ta Shrirani Vihaya Jinani Abnyani Samyati Navani Dehi Nainam Chindanti Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavakah Na Chainam Tedyantyapo Na Shoshyat Marukah Achelyoyam Adapyoyam Kvedyo Shosha Evasha Nitya Sarvitastano Ashuroyam Sanatana Vyaktoyam Achantyoyam Apikaryoyam Uchyate Tasma Evam Viditvainam Nan Shoshitam Arhasi Atachainam Nityajatam Nityam Vamani Semritam Tapitvam Mahabaho Nainam Shoshitam Arhasi Jatasya Trupor Mrityur Dhruvam Janamritasya Cha Tasmar Priharya Te Natvam Shoshitam Arhasi Viktadini Bhutani Vyakta Matyani Bharata Avyakta Nitnanyeva Tathaka Paridevana Ascharyavat Pashti Kashchidenam Ascharyavat Bharati Tathaiva Chanya Ascharyavat Chainam Anashranoti Shutpapyanam Vedana Chaiva Kaschit 30. Dehi Nityam Avatyoyam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata Tasmat Sarvani Bhutani Natvam Shochitam Arhasi Swadharmam Apichavikshya Navikampitam Arhasi Dharmyati Yuktachayonya Kshatriyasya Navidyate Etchaya Chupapannam Swargadvaram Apavritam Sukina Kshatriya Partha Tapante Yuttam Idrusham Tachitvam Imam Dharmyam Sangramam Nakarishasi Tasvadharmam Kirtancha Vitva Papam Avapsisi Kirtan Chapi Bhutani Katyashanti Tevyayam Sambhavatasya Chaki Tirmaranat Atirichate Yadranat Artham Mangsyante Tvam Maharatha Yesham Chatvam Bahumato Bhutva Yasasi Lakhavam Avachavadam Chapahun Vadishanti Tavahita Lindantas Tava Samartyam Tato Dukka Tarangupim Tuba Prapsi Svargam Jitva Bhokshase Mahim Dasmat Tishta Kaunteya Uttaya Kutanishchaya Sukha Dukke Sme Kutva Labha Labhau Jaya Jayao So Uttaya Yujasva Naivam Papam Avapsasi Esha Te Pikita Sankhe Uttir Yogi Timang Shurno Utya Yukto Gitya Partha Karma Bantam Asisi. Verse 40. Neha Pikramana Shusti Pratyavayu Navidyate Spalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Swayate Mahatupayat Vyavasayat Mika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana Bahushakahinan Tasha Buddhayo Vyavasayanam Yanimam Pushpitang Vacham Prabhadam Tevipashchitaha Vedavada Partha Nanyat Astiti Vadanaha Kamatmana Svargapara Janma Karma Phalapradam Vyavashesha Bahulam Bhogaishwarikatam Prati Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam Vyapatuchetasam Vyasayatmika Buddhis Samadhau Navatiyate Trigornia Vishaya Veda Nistrigornio Varjuna Yudvandvo Niti Satvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavam Yavan Artha Udapane Sarvata Samtutudhi Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanataha Karmani Vat Karaste Ma Paleshu Dachana Ma Karma Palahetu Dhur Ma Te Samgostva Karmani Yogasta Kurukarmani Sangam Chakva Dhananjaya Siddhyasityo Sumo Bhutva Smatam Yoga Uchite Durena Hivarang Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya Buddhau Sharam Anvitcha Krivana Palahetava 50. Buddhi Yukto Chahati Upe Sukrita Dushkrute Dismad Yogaya Yujyasva Yoga Karma Kaushalam Karmajam Buddhi Yuktahi Palam Tyukta Manishana Janma Banthavinir Mukta Palam Gachatyanayam Vidati Mohakalilam Buddhir Vyatitarashati Vidagantasamir Vedam Shrotavyasya Shrutasya Shruti Vipratipanate Yidastasisi Nischala Yidastasiti Nischala Smadhavachala Buddhistha Yogam Tapapsisi Arjun Uvacha the Pragnya Sikha Pasha Smartis Tasya Keshava Statidikim Prabhasheta Kimasita Prajetikim Shri Bhagavan Vasha Kuchahati Dakaman Servan Parthamanogatan Atman Nivatmana Pushtas the Pragnyas Taruchate Dukeshvanudvignamana Sukeshvakitas Virha Vitaragapya Kutas Tatir Munir Uchate Yes, Sarvatra Nikasne has Tat Prapya Shubhashimam Navinandati Nadveshti Tasya Pragna Pratushtata Idasam Harite Chayam Urmongani Sarvasha Indriyan Indriyar Tepyas Tasya Pragna Tushtata Vishayavini Vartante Nirahar Sirehina Subhajam Vasofyasya Parankrushlani Vartate Tituvya Pikante Purushasya Vipashchita Indriyani Pramatini Paranti Prasabhammanaha was 60. Tani Sarvani Samyamya Yukta Asita Matparaha Vashehi Indriyani Tasya Pragnya Pratushtita Yarito Vishayan Pongsa Sangas Devshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kana Goto Pajayate Buddha Bhakti Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vipramaha Smriti Kamshad Buddhinashu Buddhinashat Pranashati Ragadesha Vimuktais to Vishriyan Indriyaishcharan Atmavashir Deyatna Prasadam Gachati Prasadesa Vitapana Hani Supajayate Prasamnachit Suvyashu Tifparyapatrishate Nasti Bhaktir Ayuktasya Na Chayuktasya Bhavana Na Chapavayata Shantir Shantasya Vitasukam Indriyanam Hicharatam Yanmano Nivithiyate Tasya Harti Pragnam Vayu Navanti Vampasi Tasmad Yasya Mahabhavo Nikrihitani Sarvashaha Indriyan Indriyar Tepyas Tasya Pragnya Pratishtita Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagati Samyami Yasyam Jagati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashutum Nehi 70 Udyamanam Achila Pratishtam Samudramata Pravishanti Yadvat Tadvat Kanayam Pravishanti Sarve Sashantam Apnoti Nakana Kami Vihai Kaman Yes Sarvan Mang Chalti Nispurha Nirmamondra Kara Sashanti Matikachiti Desha Brahmi Stita Partha Nainam Papir Mukyati Stitvasyam Antikalepi Brahma Nirvana Vrichati. That was a chapter.
Special. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some make a note. Figure out that.
Okay. That was really special. Karma Yoga. Arjuna said, "Oh, Janardana, oh Kespa, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self.
Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunta, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of a creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessing them by saying, quote, "Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because in its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for you. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one for self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the charge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not settle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works onto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from bondage of fruitive actions. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined to their endeavors for perfection. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks of the path of self-realization. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, that another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another path is dangerous. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly as if engaged by force? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. Fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are sitting places of the lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Therefore, Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
Anything, Amy?
The next one's even shorter, 5.
Now?
Sure. The personality of Godhead said, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god. The Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Thank you. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. That very ancient science of that relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and therefore can understand the transcendental mystery of the science. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior to by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? The personality of God had said, many, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium by my original transcendental form. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as reestablish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take the birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. By being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they attain transcendental love from me. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Rita. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, and knowing which you shall become liberated from your misfortune. The intricacies of all action are all very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by the sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. He who is satisfied by gain or with gain, which comes of its own accord, who is freed from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both successes and failures, is never entangled, although performing actions. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to the spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and other, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. Others, who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of the Eightfold Mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Still others, who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming, and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus the last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Other curtailing the eating process, offering the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. All of these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily in this planet or in this life. Then what then of the next? All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born to different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pirta, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions of material activities. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys the knowledge within himself in due course time. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it quickly, he attains the supreme spiritual place. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart, out of the ignorance of which should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge, armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
Die. Chapter 5.
Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? The personality of God had replied, the renunciation of work and work and devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work and devotional service is better than renunciation of work. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty-armed Arjuna, one who knows that the position reached by means of analytical only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of intellectual study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains an unadulterated peace because he offers the results of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentality and renounces all actions, he resides happily in this city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which neoscience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and those processed straight on the path of liberation. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcasts. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor lamentates upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, is already situated in transcendence. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always entranced, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and happy in this world. The one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and those controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who's always in this state is certainly liberated. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Aaron. You want to read chapter 6?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So can someone just say that first word so I pronounce it right throughout the whole chapter?
Diana.
Diana? Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty." What is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who's already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he's fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deerskin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities, and fixing the mind on one point. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. When the yogi, by practicing yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, He is said to be well established in yoga. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practices of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Arjuna said, "O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady." The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Lord Sri Krishna said, "O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion." Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist, who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Son of Pertha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil." The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Or, if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances be a yogi. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion.
Jai. Robin. Chapter 7.
You're muted.
You think she knows? You need me to ask you to unmute here. There you go.
Thank you. Something happened with my thing.
You want us to come back to you?
Shh. Nope, I found myself. There we go. All right. Knowledge of the absolute. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Prata. Now I am practicing yoga in full consciousness of me. With mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Sorry. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, Mommy, it is Krishna. I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable of Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and the ability to man. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives. I am the penance of all ascetics. O son of Partha, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord Bratas of the Bratas, know that all states of being, be thy goodness, passion, or ignorance, I am manifested by my energy. I am the one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes of inexhaustible. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrounded unto me can easily cross beyond it. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, it is Krishna, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth. Yes, it's Krishna. What can I read? Thank you. The inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of absolute. Oh, of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me. The highest and most perfect goal. Yeah. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow particular rules and regulation of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires, but in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born unto delusion. bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in the life whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahmin because they entirely know everything about transcendental activity. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death.
Jai.
Die.
Samantha, chapter 8.
I want to read so badly, but it is so loud.
You're too loud.
So
Okay.
maybe next round. Thank
Yes, totally. Who's next there? I can't see. Megan, do you want to read? Oh, no, I didn't say hi to Eva. Hi, Eva.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, a little louder. Maybe. Can you guys hear it?
No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you. Just talk a little loud, or I can turn the volume up. I know I can't. I'm on the loudest set. We can go. Speak loudly. Or turn up your mic, Mel says.
Attaining the Supreme. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body? O Madhusana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, the transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his internal nature is called Adya Atma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called adhidavya. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the Supersoul in the heart of every embodied being, am called the Adhyanya, the Lord of Sacrifice. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once obtains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is the smaller than the smallest, and who is the maintainer of everything, who is inconceivable beyond all material conception, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. One who, at the time of death, fixes life fixes his life air between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and the vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of the letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. For one who always remembers me, without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Partha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. After attaining me, the great souls, who are the yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains me, attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of the Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities will become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Again and again, when the Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifest and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. The supreme personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Those who know the supreme Brahman attain that supreme by passing away from the worlds during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Although the devotees know these 2 paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered, therefore be always fixed in devotion. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Jai.
Thank you. Eva, chapter 9.
The most confidential knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Got some photos. Okay. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind, blowing everywhere, rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as a supreme lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. O son of Pertha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the the Sam, and the Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. But those who also always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and in its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly, because he is properly situated in his determination. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pertha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaisyas, and Sudras, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Yay, beautiful, and we're halfway. Tracy, do you want to read chapter 10? Please.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Is it
Perfect.
really low?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. The opulence of the absolute. The supreme personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I've already explained. Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme lord of all of the worlds, he only, undiluted among men, is freed from all sins." We'll skip a page. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All of these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 great sages, and the Manas, progenitor of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engaged in my devotional service and worship me with all of their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy all of the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. Arjuna said, "You are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirmed this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me, neither the demigods nor the demons. O Lord, can you understand your personality? Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of all gods, Lord of the universe. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all of these worlds. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you all of my manifestations, but only of those who are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. I am the super soul, Arjuna, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. O of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of the light, I am the radiant sun. Of the Marats, I am Marasi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. In the senses, I am the mind. In all living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Siva. And the Yaksas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. And the Vasas, I am fire, Ajni. And of the mountains, I'm Maru. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to the chief Baraspati. Of generals, I am Karakitya, and the bodies of the water of the ocean. I am the ocean. O of the great sages, I am the Harugu. Of vibrations of the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am chanting. Of the holy names, Japa. And the immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and the sages among the demigods, I'm Narada. And of the Gandharvas, I am Citraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage of Kapila. Of horses, know me as this is a good one, produced from during the churning of the ocean of nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Iravata, and among men, I am the monarch. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Sarabi. Of causes of procreation, I am the Kandarpa, the god of love. And of serpents, I am Vasuki. Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananata, and among the aquatics, I am demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Parhalada. Among subduers, I am time. Among beasts, I'm the lion, and among birds, I am Garuda. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the welders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. In the flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. And among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. I am all devouring Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compounded words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of all creators, I am Brahma. I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Of the hymns of the Sama Veda, I am the Bharat Sama, and of the poetry, I'm the Gairitra. Of months, I am Marga. You can pronounce Margarisa. November, December, in the seasons, I'm flowering, bearing spring. Flower bearing spring. I am also the gambling of cheats. In the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory. I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. Of all the descendants of Vrishna, I am Vasudev. In the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. And among great thinkers, I am Usana. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of those who seek victory, I am mortality. Of secret things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am the wisdom. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. Nothing, moving or unmoving, can exist without me. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I've spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all of the detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Jai.
Okay.
Chapter 11.
11, the universal form. Yuna said, by my hearing the instruction you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see you, how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Kirta, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine, and multicolored forms. O best of the Bharats, see here the different manifestations of Adiyatsas, Vasus, Rudra, Asmi, Kumaras, and all other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Sanjay said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine appraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At that time, Arjuna could see the universal form of the Lord, the unlimited expansion of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Arjuna said, "My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see you, no end, no middle, and no beginning. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible, and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of the demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying, "All peace," are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adyatas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Visvedevas, the two Asvis, the Maruts, the four fathers, the Gandharvas, the Yaksas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, as I see you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra's, along with their allied kings, the Bhisma, Droga, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. As the many waves of the river flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouths. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lord of Lords, so fierce a form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am, the great destroyer of the world, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangements, and you, O Sayasiti, can be but an instrument in the fight. Dropa, Bhisma, Jayatrata, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. Sahitras said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid, and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universal, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, again and again, and yet again. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I've dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all these offenses. You are the Father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? You are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy, as a father tolerates the imprudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife. Please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. O best of the Kura warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, not by pious activities, nor by severe penance can I be seen in this form in the material world. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Sanjaya said to Rastra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature. The Supreme Personality of God had said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. This form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in pure devotional service free from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. He who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me.
God.
Good, that was good.
Shami, I was thinking for the rest of the book, I can read in English, then you Sanskrit, English, Sanskrit, English, Sanskrit. So that we can go for how are people doing? Spend 2 hours. He's doing great. So we can go a little.
Sure.
Okay. Chapter 12, Devotional Service. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. By those who fully worship the unmanifested, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and unmovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Partha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, a winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop the desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Yoga ladder. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equiposed in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equiposed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Nature of the enjoyer and consciousness. Arjuna Vacha, Praktim Purusham Jaiva, Kshetram, Kshetratnam Evacha, Etad Vedita Chani, Jnanam, Pneyam, Chakeshava, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Iram Shariram Kaunteya, Kshetratnam, Vitaliovit Pantaho, Kshetratnam, Sabdavaha, Kshetratnam, Chakmam, Visara, Kshetreshu, Ortha, Kshetratnyo, Jnanam, Yapta Jnanam, Mama. Kshetram Yachayatru, Chagati Karya Tasya, Sichayogat Avascha, Tatsamasina Nation, Ushiba Vitagi from Chandogir type with a Brahmasutra, Raish Chaira, Katim Finish Chitai, Mahatmutani Hongaro, Buddha Object Nevacha, Driani the Shaikancha, Panchachandri Gochara, with Chab Vetus, the Kong of Tongues, with half as Chetanat, Etakshitram samasena, Svikaram Udapitam, Amanitvam Pitvam, and Sakshantit Arjavam, Acharya Pasanam, Shaucham, Stadium Atmavinigraha, Indriyatishu Vairagyam, Anahankara Evacha, Janmritujravyati Dukadushan Darshanam, Asaktirana Vishwanga, Pradara Prahabishu, Nityams Chasmachit, Tatvam Krishnanis, Lokaptishu. My Chanan Yogi and a pocket of the Pacharani, the Victivation Savatum, and a Tivjana Samsidi, Yatma Jnana Nityatam, Tatkavyana Darshanam, either Jnana Matiprotam, Jnana Yetun Vishah. Text 13. Nyayam Getta Tuksham Yajnyatvam Ashtate, Nadimatharam Brahma, Nasat Nasat Uchate. Sarvapani Param, that Sarva Pokshivokam, Sarvata Shutiman Loke, Sarv Avrita Shushati, Sarvendri Gunabha, and Sarvendri Rivajam, Asakam Sarvapuchaiva, Ergonanguna Pokricha, Bahir Antashti Bhuta, Nam, Acharam, Charam Evacha, Sukshvat, Karavignayam, Durus Anchanti touch. Vipakam Bhute, Shudipakam Evachastam. Utapart creature to Nyayam, position, Vivishmacha. Yotisha of the Yotis, Tamas of Taram Uchete, Yanam, Nyayam, Yanakam, Udisarva Sivishtam. Etik Shetam, Vitat Yanam, Nyayam, Chokam, Samastaha, Madbhat Eva, Vignaya, Madhavayu, Sapajite. Prakutam Purusham Chaiva, Vityana, Upavati. Param Shuram Shaiva, Viti Prakriti Sampavan. Arya, Parana Kartuk, Behetu, Prakriti Uchite, Purusha Sukita, Kanam, Poku, Behetu Uchite, Purusha Prakritis Tohi, Ponte Prakriti Jan Gonan, Paranam Gona Sangosya, Sadasadyon Janmasu, Putrushan Manta, Chapata, Bhutana Heshvara, Pramapni Chapyuto, Behesmin Purusha Paraha. The Evam Veti Purusham, Prakutam Shokunaisa, Sukhartman, Pinas, Puyo Pijayate, Dani Natmani Pashanti, Echit Atman Atmana, Mani Sanchina Yogina, Karma Yogina Chapli, Mani Devam Janam, the Shutva Nepia Upasite, Eti Chapitan, Eva, Rityam Shutiparayana. Yavat Sinjayate, Kinchit, Supam Stavra Jangama, Kshetra Kshetratnis Yogat, Vidti Paradharshubha, Samam Savesh Bhute, Shukrishkantam Parameshwaram, Vinashat Savinashantam, Yat Pashati Sapashati, Samam Pashanti Sarvatra, Samavastam Ishwaram, Mahinastya Anam, Tuyati Paramvitim. 30. Prakriti Karmani, Yamani Sarvashaha, Yat Pashati Manam, Prakritaram Sapashati, Da Puta Putagbavam, Ekastam Anapashati, Evachvistar, Brahma Sintabhute Da, Anaditvan Nirgunatvat, Paramatmayam Avyaya, Shriyastoki Tayanteya, Maharoti Nalakite, Da Sarvagatan Savshmyat Akas Nopalipite, Sarvatras Tatuvehi, Tatman Opalipite, Ta Prakashiti, Kristam Lopam Imam Gavehi, Kshetram Ksheti, Ta Kristam, Tatashiti Karsa, Kshetra Kshetragnayo, Evam Tantaram, Nyan Chikusha, Tuta Priti Mokshancha, Yudhyapi Teparam.
Chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again, I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all of the sages have attained the supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Material nature consists of three modes. goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruit of actions. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruit of action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruit of activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, and madness and illusion are manifested. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. The results of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable snowman mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than those modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna inquired, "Oh, my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long from them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness."
15. Yoga, the Supreme Person. Bhagavad Uttamunam Prashakana Shvattam Tahuraviyam Announce Yasipamani Stam Veda Savedavit Prashchotam Prasvitasta Sikata Guna Pradikta Vashir Pravala Prashchimulanyanasam Hani Karman Vantini Manushaloke Rupamasye Hitopalapite Nan Purnashadi Nachasam Pradishta Shvattamenam Sviruchamulam Song Vashastrena Pratina Chipta Param Tat Parimaritabyam Nismuditanan Vitam Tuyah Nevacharyam Purusham Vichage Prasvitya Prasvita Purani Manamoha Chitasangadosha Tyapnidyavan Vrittikana One wide Vimukta Sufika Sangyay Tachantin Tatpadam Savyam Tat Nathan Pausyate Sulu Nashitam Kona Pavaka Yet Dipana Nivakantate and Tama Paramama My Vangsho Jivaloke Jiva Putasnatana Manachikani Diani Stani Pashiti Shariram get above no tea, chapi, famatish, but her feet right hands on Yati, Vayurvintani Vashya, Rotam Chakshusparshanam Ch, Rasanam Kapanam Evacha, Krishnayam Chayam Shya Siyati, Utkraman Sanskritam Vapi, Vinjanam Vadanandam, Nuthanana Pashanti, Pashanti Jnana Chakshusha, Unto Yogina Shainam Pashanti Atman Nivastam, Unto Pitatmanu Nainam Pashanti Chetas, if audit become Hebrew, because it Eklam yet Chandimas with Chagnaut, Pedro with Manakam. Dom audit should put Hani Tariam Yamudisa, if none shall be Sarva, so no Pupa, Pisata. On by Shvan rope Pupa, Pranam, Marsh to her, Pana Hans Night of Chayanam, Chaturikam. Serva Sichaham, with some new flow, Matas Mikitana, Pohanamsha. Veda is to Sarva, evil video Veda, with Veda with Cha. Bhavana Purushadu, Dev Sharas Chop, Shara Evcha, Sharas Servan, Panic, Putus, Shara Uchke, Uttama Purushas Tanya, Parmatni, Pudakta, you look at an Avisha, the party of the Ishvara. His mark Sharam Atito, Shara, the Fichot, those Nilu, Devi, the Shepherd of the Purifot, will not even some move to Jana, the Purifotman, Sassai, the Pachitimam, Sel, Ovi, and the Porter. It took it Mam Shastan, Mayanica. You had the Sabbath Masiat, the fish auditor. I didn't miss one.
No.
No, that's like
That's not. Chapter 16, the divine and demoniac natures. The Supreme Personality of God had said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of supreme knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, nonviolence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance, these qualities belong to those of the demoniac nature, O son of Bharata. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. O son of Partha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules or regulations. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, and the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blasphemy against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous For the lowest among men, I perpetually cast in the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of, or abominable, not abominable, abominable type of existence. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, perform acts of conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Jai.
Chapter 17, the divisions of faith. Arjuna Vacha, Ye Shastra Pudusrija Yajante Shutyan Vita, Yesham Nishtapika Krishna, Sattamaho Rajastana, Bhagavan Vacha, Tuta Bhavati Shutta Dehinam Sasubhavaja, Sasvati Raj Sinchaiva Tam Sicheti Tamshram, Satman Rupa Sarvasya Shutta Bhakti Parita, Shutta Mayuyam Purusho Yoya Chatta Saivasya. Jante Satvika Devam Yakshaksham Sirajasa, Petam Tanam Nishanye Jante Tam Sajana, Vashafra Betam Koram Patyante Tapojana, Bhavan Karsmi Tamarad Balandita, Arshiyant Shriras Tam Sutigram Chetasavit, Nam Shaivan Shriras Tam Tan, Vithya Sudanishchayan, Aharas Trapisarvasya Trupavatirpriya. Goodness, Pastadanan, Tesham, Bedam, Mangshan, Ayusapabalaru, Yusufri, Ivatna, Yasyas, Pastapidya, Ahara, Sakipatya, Patamalavanatu, Shnatik, Shnaru, Shavidah, Ahara, Raj, Losiesha, Dukshu, Tamyafida, Yati Yaman, the Pasamki, Paryushitam Shir, Uchashlamachan, Etam, Bojanam, Tamasapriyan. Lakham Shipirjak Nobiti Shruya Ijite, Shlavyam Iviti Manasmakhaya Sasakti. This entire tongue in part and Pichayas, Ijite Partashreshta, Tam Yaknam Tirajisam, Ihinam Sushanam Mantahinam Production, Aviritam Yagnam, Tamasam Purichakshate, David Vijaguru Prag and Pujanam, Shouchin Arjunam. Brahmacharya Nahisacha, Shariram Tapachite, Unadvega Kramvakam, Satyam Priyatam Shir, Svadhyaya Pyasamam Shaiva Langmayam Tapachite, Anapasada Samyat from Noun and off the Vinegar, all the function to the data, commands which it Priyapriyata from the bus that Kritam Naivi. Lakham Shute, you guys off the temple chocolate. Sutkarma Puja, Tampodam, Clean Chaya, you have to from that, Sunsham, Patrubam. Move to Rohan Atmano, yet Pudaya, you hate for her. The Sut Sadnat, Niva, Tamas and Pudafrikum. Data jump it down, the attained colony, the shake, college, hot stage, Grandan, Sakitam, Sutams. Yet to put the Tarat and Palam of the Shiva, the page of the Krishna down on the largest Sanskritam. The Deshakali down and hotly Shakiyate, Sakitam of Vinyat, the Tamas of Budapikam. That certain near day show Brahmanas, Tibetas, Brahmanas, Teen Virashcha, you can match half Buddha. This is not only to Doctor Yagnadan, Bhakya, but when David Hano Tassit from Brahmavadinam, that it's enough to Santaya, Panam, Yagnat Bhakya, Danakya, Shivita, and Pain Mox, Contributed. So always out of always, so that gave that prejudicate, just take the money task at chapter 4 to Yujite. Yagnat Sidane, just this certificate, Churchite, Karma Shire, the team. Sativa Pite Ashutya utam dattam prastaptam kutam shayat asad ityuchite author. And she does pray to know because that's it.
Last chapter.
It's a long one. Do you want to split it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, no,
or what?
would you guys rather hear it in Sanskrit or English? Or do you want to do half and half? English?
The
Okay.
last half is really powerful. I mean, it's good to get it in English.
Okay.
So you like definitely catch all of it.
Okay,
All
so
of
read the first half, yeah.
It's so powerful, but
Because even though you can't understand what the Sanskrit means, you're receiving the transcendental vibration, but it's really powerful, yeah. Conclusion, perfection of pronunciation.
Arjuna Vacha Sunyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamichhami Vedam Yagasya Chatushrikesha Tatteshin Shurana Bhagavan Vacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sunyasam Kavayo Vidavu Sarva Karma Pratyagam Pahustyagam Vichakshana Tyajam Doshavat Ityeke Karma Pahut Manishana Yagnidan Karma Natyajam Iti Chapare Nishchayam Shurme Tatra Yagi Bharata Sattma Yago Vikrusha Vyakra Vibhata Sampratirtita Yagnidan Karma Natyajam Karyam Evatat Yagnyodanam Paschaiva Pavanani Manishana Etanya Pitu Karmani Samgang Satva Palanisha Pratyavyani Pinepata Nishchitam Latam Uttamam Nietasya tu sannyasa karmano nuphadyate mohat tasya prityaga sthanasat parikirtataha dukkam ityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet sukutvaraj samtyaga naityaga phalam labhet karyam ityeva yat karma nietam kriyate arjuna samdam sattva phalam chaiva sithyada sattiko mataha Adveshta Kushalam Adveshta Kushalam Dharma Kushale Nanushajjate Yagi Sattasmadashto Netavi Nidhavi Chinna Samshaya Mahideha Pratha Shakyam Sakyam Karmani Shekhatah Yastu Karma Pratyagi Satyagi Tipitiyate Vishtam Ishtam Mishramsha Divitam Karmanat Phalam Vatityagnam Petya Natusinyasinam Pachit Panchaitani Mahabaho Karanani Nabosame Sankhe Kutante Puktani Sitye Sarva Karmanam Tishtanam Takrita Karanam Chittagvitam Siddhashtapaka Cheshna Daivam Chaiva Prapanchama Sharira Bhangmano Kiryat Karma Prarapate Naraha Nyayam Va Vipritam Va Panchaite Tasya Tatraivam Sutikartaram Atmanam Kevalam Priya Pashyati Krita Bhutitvan Pashyati Krita Bhutitvan Nasa Pashyati Durmate Yasya Naham Krita Bhavo Yasya Naham Krita Bhavo Bhaktir Yasya Nilipite Patis Malokan Nahantina Nibatyate Jnanam Jnayam Pariknyata Trivita Karma Chodana Karanam Karma Karteti Chitta Karma Samvita Jnanam Karma Chitta Chitaiva Guna Peta Ushte Guna Samkyane Itavat Shrunutanyapi Sarvaputeshu Yenayakam Bhavam Abhirim Ikshate Vitaktam Vitakteshu Tajnanam Vitti Sattvatam Vitakmena tu Tajnanam Nana Bhavan Vitakvidhan Vitti Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tajnanam Vitti Rajasam Yatu Krishnavat Ekasmin Karye Satyam Ahaitatam Vitatvarta Vat Alpangsha Vitamasam Udahatam Yetam Samvarahitam Radha Dvesha Vitam Apala Prechana Karma Yatat Sattvatam Uchate Yatu Kame Suna Karma Sahankarena Apana Viti Bahlaya Samvidrajasam Udahatam Anabantang Kshamang Hinsam Anapeksha Chup Paurusham Muhad Arate Karma Yatat Tamasam Uchate Mukti Sangon Hangadi Tritus Sahas Manvita Sutya Satyo Siddhisityo nirvikara Alta Satvika Uchite Ragi Karma Plakre Buddho Himsatma Poshuji Harsha Shubhanita Alta Rajasa Parikirtitaha Yukta Prastapka Chato Naish Piko Dasata Radi Nirkasukrisha Alta Tamsa Uchite Uttir Bhedam Tutesh Chaiva Gunatas Vidham Shrunu Uchimanam Asheshena Vitaktina Ananjaya Vrittincha Vrittincha Karya Karye Yapi Antam Moksham Sule Yaveki Vrittisatata Satviki Ya Dharma Adharmamsha Karyam Chakari Evisha Yathavat Janati Buddhisatata Rajasi Dharmam Dharma Pitya Itya Manipet Masavrita Sarvatani Pritamsha Buddhisatata Tamasi Ityaya Parayate Manaparanendriya Kriya Yogina Vipichara Yogina Vipicharanya Isapata Sattvi Yat Dharma Kamartan Itya Parayate Yojana Sungena Kulakankshi Tutisapata Rajasi Via Swapnam Bhayam Shokam Karam Malam Evacha Nadininchiti Turmeta Tutisapata Tamasi Sukham Vidani Tiritam Shrunume Parparshita Vyasad Mate Yatra Dukkantam Sanikachiti Yat Azivisham Eva Praname Mutokayam Tatsukam Satkam Tokam Atma Buddhi Prasadajam Vishayendra Samyoga Yaktat Agrema Tokam Praname Visham Eva Tatsukam Rajasanskritam With Agre Chanabantecha Become Mohanam Atmanaha Nidralasya Marupam Tamas Udahitam Nata Asti Akidyam Va Divide Shubhapanaha Sattvam Prati Sattvam Pratijaya Moktam Yet Vityasya Prapir Gunaihi. This is a good place to stay the chapter.
At 40.
No, 41.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras there are labor and service to others. By following these qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection performing his own work. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of faults. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his mind, his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he obtains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy. O scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Pretty well. Because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. O son of Partha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Sanjaya said, thus I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and mortality. That is morality. Yeah, not mortality. And morality. That is my opinion. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation.
Haribol. Get it.
Jai. 8:39. We started at 6:08. So that was 2.5 hours and 1 minute. You just take a moment to, yeah. taking in the spiritual bath we all took together, which took a lot of austerity. To sit and read and listen for that long. Thank you. Beautiful reading. For choosing to do this on a Friday night before Christmas or whatever holiday. Thank you for joining us virtually, sweet souls. How are you doing through the ethers? Tired and full of knowledge.
I just want to say thank you. I'm doing great. It didn't feel like any time passed. I don't know if anybody else felt like that. I looked at my watch and I couldn't believe it was 2 hours later. Thank you.
2.5 hours later.
2.5 hours later.
Yeah.
But at the point I looked at my watch, it was only 2 hours. But that's semantics. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Eva said Evan and my pup listened as well. Yay. Anybody else have anything you want to say? You don't have to, but I want to give you the opportunity to.
That was my first time hearing it or reading it all the way through. So that was really beautiful. So thank you. Yeah.
That was only my second time reading it all the way through. It's probably most people's first time sitting down and reading the entire Gita, right? Yeah. First together. Thank you, Eva. And we recorded it specifically for Julia because she asked. Yeah. Anyone in the room? Physical room. Why?
It's just
Yeah, I find it really fascinating and purifying because it's like for that amount of time, 2.5 hours, to have no kajalpa, which is like unnecessary talk or like gossip or like just like, oh, the weather, like this mundane thing. This is like it's all high vibration, and to have that amount of time focused in that quality, I think is somewhat rare. So. Okay. Well, congratulations. Oh, there's a comment. Yeah, sorry. My cat. I can't. Oh, my cat joined us. Yay! Oh, we got a picture. Look at that. Your kid. What's your cat's name?
Mocha.
Mocha. Mocha's right, like looking at the screen. Mocha's reading the words, the verses. I love it. Amazing. Okay, we'll have a beautiful, beautiful night and holiday, and we'll see you all next week. Tuesday, we have Gita, but it's going to be virtual for us, right? We're going to still be in Southern Vermont, so anyone can come here to the Bhakti house, but Shami won't be sitting in this seat right here. He'll be sitting in my mom's room, probably, where my mom tunes in from. Yeah, but you're welcome to come here or be virtual. Okay. Hare Krishna. Merry Christmas. Haribol, and we love you. Jai.